It was past midnight when I started the drive. The highway stretched out like a black ribbon under the weak glow of my headlights, a road I'd driven 100 times before, but somehow, that night, it felt different. The air was heavier, the silence thicker. I had been returning from a late shift, eyes tired, music low, coffee cold. Everything outside the glass felt endless, fields dissolving into fog, billboards half-lit and unreadable, the kind of emptiness that makes you realize how far you are from anything. For miles, there wasn't another pair of headlights, just me, the road, and the rhythmic thud of the tires counting time. Then, out of nowhere, my radio cracked alive. No song, just static. I checked the signal, twisted the knob, nothing. And then, through the static, a voice, faint, whispering, repeating one word I couldn't quite catch. At first, I thought it was interference, maybe some late-night trucker channel. But the voice grew sharper, closer, and suddenly I could make it out. It said, "Turn back." I froze. The radio dial was off, the power indicator dim, yet the voice was still there, slow, deliberate, echoing under the static like someone breathing against the speaker. I turned the volume down. The whisper didn't fade. It moved from the radio to the back seat. I didn't dare look in the mirror. Instead, I pressed my foot harder on the accelerator, convincing myself it was just exhaustion playing tricks, the kind of thing that happens when your brain's halfway between waking and dream. But then, something moved behind me, just a flicker in the rear-view mirror, a shape sitting perfectly still where there should have been nothing. The seat behind me creaked. I caught a glimpse. Someone or something leaning forward just beyond the reach of my headlights. I slammed the brakes. The car skidded sideways, headlights cutting across the empty highway, and the seat was empty again. My pulse hammered. I got out, half expecting to see footprints in the dust, maybe a trick of light on the glass. Nothing. Just the steady hum of the engine and the smell of burnt rubber from the tires. I stood there for a while, the night pressing against me like a wall. Every sound, the wind, the insects, the far-off hum of power lines, felt amplified, alive. And then the radio hissed again. Only this time, there was no voice, just the sound of breathing. I decided to pull into the next rest area about 10 miles ahead. When I finally saw the faint blue glow of the vending machines, it felt like salvation. The lot was deserted, except for a single truck parked near the edge, engine idling, no driver in sight. I went inside to grab coffee, just to clear my head. The fluorescent lights flickered, buzzing like trapped flies, and then, from the far end of the corridor, came the unmistakable sound of a coin dropping into a payphone. Clink, click, dial tone. I turned. There was no one there. but the receiver on the payphone was swaying, slowly, as if someone had just let go. I picked it up. At first, silence. Then the same whisper, clearer now. "Turn back. You should have never left the car." I dropped the receiver and bolted out of the rest stop, heart pounding so loud it drowned out the night. The air outside was colder now, sharper, the kind of cold that doesn't feel natural. My car was right where I'd left it, headlights still on, engine running, but the driver's door was open. I stopped a few feet away. The engine purred steadily, exhaust drifting into the fog. The driver's seat was empty, or at least it looked empty from where I stood. Then I noticed something. The passenger door was slightly ajar, swinging just enough to make a faint creak, creak sound. I leaned forward, squinting into the light. The inside of the windshield was covered with words, dozens of them, traced in condensation, overlapping, uneven. But one phrase stood out clearly in the center. "Thank you for the ride." I stepped back instinctively, eyes darting around the lot. No one, nothing, just silence. Then from behind me, I heard the payphone again. Click, dial tone. And then, faintly, the whisper returned. "Next time, don't stop." The line went dead. The engine sputtered once and fell silent. And for a second, just 1 second, I saw my reflection in the glass of the driver's side window. Except, I wasn't alone in it. Someone was sitting beside me, smiling. If you ever find yourself driving alone at night, and someone tells you to turn back, listen, because some passengers never leave.
There's a 24-hour fuel stop just off the main highway, about 20 minutes from where I live. It's small, quiet, and always feels like it exists outside of time. If you've ever driven through rural highways past midnight, you know what I mean. That strange emptiness where even the streetlights seem half asleep. I've been there countless times. When you live alone and work odd hours, that gas station starts to feel like a familiar face. But last Thursday night, something was different. That's when I learned not everyone at a gas station is there for gas. It was around 2:10 a.m. I'd been working late on a freelance project, completely lost in code and caffeine until the hunger hit me, the kind that feels like it appears out of nowhere. So I grabbed my keys and drove out into the dark stretch of highway. No cars, no sound, just the low growl of my engine and static on the radio. By the time I pulled into the gas station, the only sign of life was the flicker of the red "open" sign and the hum of a single soda machine outside. Inside, the clerk barely looked up, just the usual dead-eyed stare of someone halfway through a night shift. I ordered a sandwich from the counter and started wandering the aisles while waiting. Something about that place always felt like it was holding its breath. That's when I saw him. At the far end of the store, crouched on the tile floor facing one of the glass refrigerators, sat a man. He wasn't shopping, he wasn't resting. He was just sitting there, legs crossed, back hunched, staring at the refrigerator door like he was waiting for something to open. For a moment, I thought maybe he dropped something, but then I realized he hadn't moved, not an inch. He wore a dark brown jacket, jeans soaked at the knees, and shoes that looked like they hadn't touched pavement in weeks. I can only see him from the back, and something in me said, "Don't stare." But curiosity has a way of ignoring warnings. I moved 2 aisles over, pretending to browse chips, and turned to catch a glimpse of his face. The second my eyes met his, he snapped his head toward me. Not a slow glance, a sudden jarring twist, like he'd been waiting for me to look. His eyes were wide, unblinking, pupils swallowed in black. His lips trembled slightly, though he wasn't cooled. He didn't speak, didn't blink, just stared. Empty, dead, and focused entirely on me. For a moment, I couldn't move. It felt like staring at a mannequin that had suddenly learned how to breathe.
I pretended not to notice him and walked away fast, pretending to scroll on my phone. My sandwich was ready. I paid quickly, my hands trembling as I tapped my card. As I stepped outside, the automatic door beeped behind me. I didn't look back, not until I reached my car. The lot was empty. At least, I thought it was. When I started the engine and began pulling out, I caught something in the rearview mirror, a shadow darting across the parking lot toward the far side. Someone was running. Long coat, uneven stride. Him. I'd pressed on the gas and didn't stop until the lights vanished behind me. The road ahead was black and silent again. I started breathing easier until I saw headlights appear in my mirror. At first, I thought it was just another car, but then the lights grew closer, faster, and then they flashed twice. Then again, it was him. I could see the outline of that same brown jacket behind the wheel. He was tailing me. I sped up. He matched me. The road was empty, no one to flash for help, no exits for miles. Then came the honking, sharp, long bursts that echoed through the night. He started swerving behind me, jerking his steering wheel side to side like he was trying to scare me off the road. My palms were slick on the wheel. At 90 miles per hour, the world became a blur of headlights and panic. And then he rammed me. The first hit wasn't too strong, but it was enough to make my stomach drop. The second hit came harder, slamming my chest into the seatbelt. That's when something snapped inside me. Pure survival. I cut hard into the next lane, slammed my brakes and swerved. His truck roared past, fishtailing, skidding, spinning into darkness. A spray of dirt and broken light. Then silence. I didn't look back. I drove straight home. Didn't even realize how fast I was going until I parked in my driveway, hands shaking, pulse still pounding in my ears. I sat there for a long time, headlights still on, trying to convince myself it was over. Then my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You dropped something at the station. No image, no name, just that one line. I deleted it instantly, but the timestamp said 2:17 a.m., exactly the minute I'd left the gas station. So, if you ever stop at a lonely gas station in the middle of nowhere and see someone sitting quietly by the refrigerators, keep walking, because some people aren't waiting for food. They're waiting for you.
It was supposed to be a simple cross-country drive, Utah to Georgia. My husband and I had planned it for months. No rush, no deadlines, just a quiet journey with detours through the places we'd always wanted to see. But by the third day, the road had changed. Miles of farmland, no exits, no towns, just two endless lanes of asphalt and a sky that never seemed to move. It was close to 10 p.m. when I woke up in the passenger seat. The car had slowed down, pulling into a small gas station glowing faintly in the distance. One of those places that shouldn't exist anymore. Buzzing neon, flickering sign, one pump half covered in rust. My husband said he was filling up and grabbing coffee. I told him I'd use the restroom. That's when things started to go wrong. Inside, the station was almost silent except for a ceiling fan ticking unevenly. The old man at the counter didn't even look up when I passed by. The restrooms were down a narrow hallway lit by a single buzzing light. As I pushed open the women's restroom door, it creaked like it hadn't moved in years. The smell hit me first. Damp soap and something faintly metallic. When I stepped inside, I almost collided with someone. A woman, standing there, right in front of me. Her gray hair was matted and unbrushed, sticking to her face as if it had been wet recently. She was wrapped in a thick purple coat despite the heat outside, and she was barefoot. For a second, we both froze. Then she smiled, a thin, strange smile that didn't reach her eyes. Her lips trembled slightly, as if holding back a word. I mumbled a quick sorry and tried to move past her, but she didn't step aside. She just tilted her head slightly, still smiling, eyes following me until I entered the stall. The door lock clicked shut, and that small sound felt like a lifeline. I sat there frozen. For a few moments, I could hear her footsteps near the sinks, slow, dragging, flip-flop against tile, over and over. Then silence. And just when I started to think she'd left, I heard breathing. Not mine. Shallow, uneven breaths coming near the door. I held my own breath, waiting. A few seconds passed, then the door to the restroom opened and slammed shut again. My heart finally started to settle. She's gone, I told myself. But then, after a long stretch of silence, came the sound of that same slow breathing, still inside. That's when I realized she never left. I stayed there for what felt like hours. Every few minutes, I'd hear her shift, the faint squeak of a shoe, a soft scrape against tile, then quiet again. Finally, the door creaked open once more, another slam. No breathing this time. I counted to 30, then 60, then I slowly unlocked the stall door. The restroom looked empty. The mirror flickered with the bad light. Everything looked normal again. Until I noticed the last stall door, the one next to mine, was shut tight. A faint shadow pressed against the crack near the bottom. It was small, unmoving. I whispered, "Hello?" Nothing. Then the shadow moved, fast. The door swung open with a violent crash, but no one was there, just an empty stall and a dripping faucet. I didn't even wash my hands. I ran. Back in the store, my husband was at the counter paying for gas.
He looked up, startled by how pale I was. Before I could say a word, a sound came from behind us, the bathroom door slamming again. The old man at the counter didn't even flinch. He just muttered, "She's back again." I froze. "What do you mean, back?" I asked. He shrugged, eyes still fixed on the register. "Been doing that for months now. Shows up around the same time, never buys anything. Goes in the restroom, never see or leave." My husband tried to laugh it off, but I could see his hand shaking as he took the receipt. We walked quickly to the car. When we got in, I turned to look at the gas station one last time. The lights inside flickered, and there she was, standing by the door, still smiling, still barefoot. As we pulled out of the lot, the old man finally came to the window, staring after us. He looked pale now. When I mouthed, "Who is she?" he just pointed toward the back of the store. And that's when I saw it. A wall of faded newspaper clippings taped up near the restroom hall. The one on top reads, "Local woman found dead behind a gas station 2009. The photo, same purple coat, same face. So the next time you stop for gas late at night and someone smiles at you on their way out of the restroom, don't smile back. Because not everyone you meet on the highway is still alive."
They say the highway feels different when you're alone at night, like the darkness has weight, like it watches you. For me, that became more than just a feeling. It became a nightmare that started one rainy evening on Route 19, a stretch of road I now refuse to drive again. I had been driving home after a long weekend trip, 5 hours straight behind the wheel, no brakes, just me and the road. Rain hammered against the windshield, the wipers barely keeping up. There were no streetlights out there, just the occasional flash of lightning carving the landscape into sharp, ghostly shapes. It was around midnight when I noticed the headlights in my mirror, a pair of dull yellow lights following far behind me. Nothing unusual, except they'd been there for over 30 minutes. Every turn I made, every slowdown, every stretch, they stayed perfectly in sync. Not too close to be aggressive, not too far to disappear. Just there, watching. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe they were headed the same way. But the longer it went on, the heavier that thought became. As I hit a long, empty stretch, the headlights began to draw closer. The outline came into view, an old white cargo van, rusted edges, cracked bumper, no company logo, no plates visible through the rain. It trailed behind me steadily for miles. Sometimes it would fall back, almost disappearing into the dark. And then, suddenly, it surged forward again, headlights flaring in my mirrors like flash photography. I tried changing lanes. It followed. I slowed down to let it pass. It slowed too. The air inside my car grew hot, my hands slick on the wheel. That's when I remembered something my father once said. If you ever feel followed, never lead them to where you live. Always head toward light. So I scanned the horizon for anything, a gas station, a diner, a sign of life. But the storm had swallowed everything. I grabbed my phone, flicking open the flashlight to get a glance at my signal. 1 bar, barely. Still, I dialed 911. No connection, just static. And then, another call came in. Unknown number. I stared at the screen for a moment, frozen. It was 12:47 a.m. I don't remember answering it. But suddenly the line clicked open, and I heard heavy breathing. No words, just slow, uneven breaths, like someone was sitting right behind me. I threw my phone onto the seat and hit the gas. The van followed instantly, headlights flickering wildly.
After a few miles, I spotted a narrow dirt turnoff on the right, half hidden, leading into some woods. It wasn't smart, but panic makes bad ideas sound like plans. I killed my headlights, swerved hard, and pulled in. The van sped past. For a long moment, I sat there, breathing hard, engine idling, watching the red taillights fade into nothing. Silence. Just the rain tapping the roof. I told myself it was over, until I looked ahead, because about 50 feet in front of me, deep in the darkness of that dirt path, another pair of headlights blinked on. The same van, same cracked bumper, same broken left headlight. It was already there. Before I could even process what I was seeing, the engine roared, the van lunged forward, tires screaming on wet mud. I slammed my car into reverse, swerving back onto the highway as it burst out of the tree line behind me. This time, it didn't follow slowly. It charged, full speed, no hesitation. I could feel the vibrations through the steering wheel as it closed the distance until it was right on my bumper. Its high beams filled my car like daylight. I hit 100 miles per hour, the road blurred, rain becoming streaks of white. Then, as sudden as it started, the lights vanished. No crash, no turn, just gone. The road behind me was empty again. I didn't stop until I saw lights, a small roadside motel with a flickering vacancy sign. I pulled in, heart racing, hands shaking, as I stumbled into the office. The clerk barely looked up from his desk. I muttered something about being followed and asked if I could park under the lights. He nodded, sliding the key across the counter. Room 6. I parked right in front of it, locked the doors twice, and collapsed onto the bed. The storm still raged outside, wind howling like a living thing. I must have dozed off, because when I woke, everything was silent. No thunder, no rain, just that thick, unnatural quiet. Then came a knock on the door. 3 times. Slow. I checked the clock. 3:12 a.m. I stayed perfectly still. Another set of knocks, louder this time. I gathered my courage, crept to the peephole, and froze. It was the motel clerk, or at least it looked like him. But behind him, barely visible in the dark, was the white van. Its headlights were off, but I could see someone sitting in the driver's seat, and the engine was running. If you ever drive through the rain and notice the same headlights behind you, don't pull over. Don't stop, because some rides never want to win.